talk about the pregnancy as well, because the pandemic messed with you big time. You were due to get married last January.
Yeah.
And that got killed, basically. Yeah. But you've made another date for 2023.
December 22, yeah.
22, sorry. But in the meantime, you're having your first baby. So do you want to talk about how that journey has been? Did you talk to your team beforehand, or?
Yeah, so I would have spoken to my diabetic team, but also my team that look after me in the eye and ear clinic as well. So through speaking to both teams, my HbA1c was within good range. So my diabetic team just recommended that I go on to the higher 5 milligram dose of folic acid. So I would have been taking that for about a year and a half, and would have spoken to them about it. And then we said, this is a good time. we're going to go and try and have a child. And thankfully, I have to say, the support, when you're pregnant and type 1 diabetic, you're instantly, so I went to my GP when I found out that I was pregnant, and my GP referred me to the hospital of my choice to go to for pregnancy. And within a week, between a week or 2 weeks, I was called into the hospital. So since week 7 of my pregnancy, I've seen the diabetic nurses, the diabetic doctor, the baby doctor, and each appointment I've had my bloods checked. So it's actually been really reassuring. Each person, it depends on you, your diabetic management, your glucose levels. So, it's not every person who's type 1 diabetic will go to the hospital each month. For some people, it might be weekly, it might be fortnightly. For me, it has been kind of monthly checkups. So it has been really reassuring and great to be able to ask questions. And thankfully, I'm 30 weeks pregnant now, so time is flying. It's getting close, but no, really exciting. And I think as a type 1 diabetic, it can be scary because you're not just thinking about yourself anymore. You're thinking about the little person that's growing, and you want to do your best for them. And I know through talking to you, Grania, you recommended some amazing support groups online. And I have to say, again, the peer support is phenomenal. And it's nice, even I've only joined them in the last 2 weeks, but even in that, if someone asks a question and you're able to help, you feel like you're just sharing a little bit. So peer support is really, really beneficial. And that combined with the hospital have made the experience so good. And definitely worry.
That's so lovely to hear. And I'm going to actually post a link to that pregnancy and type 1 diabetes Facebook group that I suggested to you. So I'll post a link to that group in the comments underneath this video for anybody who wants to join it. But yeah, it's fantastic that you are getting so much value out of it. I am basically just still a member of the group to see the baby's pictures. Because it's been so long since I've been, it's been so long since I've been pregnant. But I do remember one of the benefits of being pregnant with diabetes. Now, I don't know if it's done here in Ireland, but it was certainly done in my first pregnancy in the US. But every time I had my monthly appointment, I had the ultrasound, so I got extra bonus pictures. Are you able to avail of that as well? Do you get
so each time I have a checkup, so even at 7 weeks, I could see the little scan. Very much so. And because I'm having a bigger scan than each month now as well. So it's really reassuring. And even in those scans, they're able, like, technology is phenomenal. They're able to tell you what the weight of the baby is and everything as well. So it's definitely, I've said it along my journey, my pregnancy journey as a type 1 diabetic, it's definitely a bonus of being type 1 diabetic, the extra scans, the appointments, just the reassurance and peace of mind, and big time. And I know you mentioned earlier about me being a Freestyle Libre ambassador. And I have to say, like, throughout my pregnancy journey, having the Abbott Freestyle Libre system has been amazing. Like, my diabetic team have login details, so they're able to check my graphs. I ring in each Monday, or I send a WhatsApp picture of my readings from the week. But the book can give a little snippet of your day, whereas the Freestyle Libre system, they can actually see what's going on in the in-between. And even for me on my phone to be able to put in notes saying, I missed my walk today, or I did extra steps today, so that might be why my glucose levels are lower. So I found that really great. And like you said, this diabetic journey during a global pandemic has been so different. So for me, again, being able to share that information, for the diabetic nurses are amazing in the hospital that I attend. And they download the graphs, they show those to the diabetic doctor. And like my ratios, I'm quite confident with changing them and doing things like that. But it's great to be able to check in each Monday in between actually going into the hospital. So the Freestyle Libre system has been amazing for that, and just being able to share that information. And again, you're not guessing because you know what's going on. So the peace of mind, seeing where your sugar levels are at, and even for the team themselves, that, you know, they're not saying, well, on Tuesday, what happened here? And you're trying to think back a week beforehand as to what you might have been doing. Whereas for me, pick up the phone, write it in, and it's just, yeah, it's the transparency. You're not lying, you're being honest, you're doing your best. And yeah, I feel like as a person, I'm a different person to the teenage Mairead who was trying to say what they wanted to hear. Whereas now, if it is a case, if my glucose levels are higher, we find out why and we put a solution in place. There isn't a blame game.
No.
And I think that's really good. That's what you need. You want people to be supportive. And when you're trying your best, that's all you want. You just want to be that student.
Yeah, and you want some acknowledgement that you're only human and that you're trying to do what, you know, what's something in your body was automatically programmed to do. And you know, and it's just not possible to do that perfectly all the time.
Yeah.
Not using that organ. Yeah. And I'm just curious, like, I know you're 10 weeks or less, hopefully, fingers crossed, away from your due date, but has the team talked to you about, you know, what's going to happen over the next 10 weeks? Have they told you about your insulin requirements, that they're going to probably double or triple in the last few weeks?
I think from the start of my pregnancy journey, I've had an awareness, and I know myself, even like my HbA1c was good before the pregnancy, but in pregnancy it's that bit tighter again. Like I know for me, it's 3.5, ideal in old terms. So the range is 3.5 to 7.8. That's what I need to keep them between as best as possible. So when I heard that at first, it was a bit of a shock, because anything below 4 before that had been a low glucose reading, and treating it with my glucose tablets or Lucozade, etc. So that was a change at the start. But even when I look back through my glucose readings book, and to be fair, throughout my pregnancy, it has stayed in and around. Like, funnily, at the start of my pregnancy, I actually needed to stop taking background insulin at nighttime. And then as the pregnancy went on, I went back on to taking it. I think you need to be flexible with it. You know, I think for a lot of my life, I looked at it, oh goodness, I might not eat that now. I'd have to take so much insulin for it. But in this pregnancy journey, you know, you're fending for yourself and for your baby as well. So it's a case of, look, if I eat that, I am going to have to take X amount of insulin, but it's going to mean my sugars are going to be within range. So I think that's been a different thought process for me throughout it. And yeah, luckily I'm still able to keep active. I'm still able to go out walking, not running, but walking and, you know, keeping moving. So I'm really thankful for that, because if I couldn't do that, then my insulin resistance would be higher again. But yeah, no, just I keep checking my sugars, keep taking my insulin. And it's even the simplicity of, if I wake during the night, you know, I don't have to do the finger prick test. I can just scan.
Quick
If they're within
scan.
range, just straight back to sleep again. Valuing all that sleep, Grania.
Yes, you really do. You really do. So quickly, before we head towards the end of this interview, Type 1 Mutor, when did you start your Instagram account? Do you remember?
So I started the Instagram account, it would have been, so it will be 2 years next month, actually. Time has flown past. Again, my other half had mentioned it a few times, saying, oh, that, you know, it'd be nice to share your experience as a teacher, but also as a type 1 diabetic. And then I moved to a new school. So I've done 3 years in school that I'm in. And some of the girls that I've become friendly with have learned so much. They honestly said they didn't know anything about type 1 diabetes before. And even things I might say, they'd say, oh, that'd be a really good thing for other people to know. So yeah, the mixture of things. I set it up 2 years ago. And to be honest, I set it up just thinking, if I can even help one person or one parent who has a child with type 1 diabetes or someone else. So it's a mixture of teaching ideas. And then I did a day where I actually recorded every time I thought about diabetes.
Wow.
And that's in my highlights. But that was a really interesting one, because I would have thought, okay, I think about it, you know, now and then, but when you're logging onto your phone, recording every time you think about type 1 diabetes, it really added up during the day. And it was a very honest, you know, I think I had a low glucose because I had basketball team training after school with the children. And it just shows that, like, no 2 days are the same. And with the best will, you know, your glucose levels can go a little bit higher, they can go a little bit lower. And it just was interesting to do that. And again, the peer support, I've spoken to parents who have children with type 1 diabetes. I know I'm not a doctor, I know I don't work in the medical, but I do know, like, from talking to other people living with the condition, you can learn so much from them.
From each other, yeah.
It really is a whole new learning curve. And I know at the start I said about my mum not having those support groups. So I feel really lucky that I'm involved in that. And again, even when Abbott approached me about being a Freestyle Libre ambassador, I was really honored, because I just thought, you know, if I can help one person, if I can help 10 people, and, you know, to help that person and maybe have an impact on their day, or, you know, just that they don't feel alone. That's the reason for setting up the Instagram account, and for also being a Freestyle Libre ambassador. And I know when you asked me about the blog post last year, that was something completely out of my comfort zone. But again, I went to the, you know what, if this can help one person, then it's totally worth it. Yeah. So that's where it came from.
So, and speaking about the relationship now with Abbott and the Freestyle Libre and being an ambassador, I mean, we want to talk about the fact that you are funding your own Freestyle Libre sensor. And the reason you reached out to me before was that you wanted to highlight, you know, the benefits of having this technology and similar technologies, because the Freestyle Libre is only one type of device out there that actually can show a glucose profile for 24 hours. And the fact that it is still in Ireland restricted to those under the age of 21, and clearly as a teacher, you've done your college years, so you're not under the age of 21, so you are funding your own Freestyle Libre. And you reached out to me when you heard that Diabetes Ireland and myself are heavily involved in trying to remove that age restriction to the access, because this piece of technology is just a complete game changer, and there seems to be a resistance in our health service and in the healthcare community. Thankfully, the resistance is lessening to making this technology available to many, many more people. And I'm thrilled to talk about the fact that it's actually included in the Diabetes Ireland pre-budget submission, which was launched in on the 14th of July, 13th and 14th of July. And I mean, would that have been part of your reason for accepting the offer to be a Freestyle Libre ambassador? What's involved, first of all, being an ambassador?
Well, when I spoke to the Abbott link person, what I really liked was that it's very much your journey, your experience. So it's been honest around it. And I know in the blog post that I wrote for Thriveabetes before, I mentioned how life-changing the Freestyle Libre sensor had been for me. And I know in that blog post, I also said type 1 diabetes is my superpower. And I really stand by that, because, you know, it makes me who I am. For 28 years of my life, you know, I have been type 1 diabetic. So when I was approached by Abbott and to be a Freestyle Libre ambassador, I just thought I was really humbled by it for a start, because it was based on my story and my honesty around my diabetes. And I just liked that they value the people in their care. And I know through talking to the team that for them, they really wanted to be supplied for people over the age of 21, as Ireland is one of, I think, very, very few, if not one of the only countries that it isn't. So for me, it's definitely an aim that, and it was amazing to see it in the pre-budget plan as well, because I know I have friends who have type 1 diabetes, you know, and people often say it is the cost that's off-putting for them. And I know through talking to you, you mentioned about fat back and being able to do things like that. So it's sharing that knowledge. And I suppose with having my Instagram account, that I can help in spreading that message and awareness about it. And I've learned so much in the last 2 years through having my Instagram account, through speaking to you, through even joining the groups in the last few weeks. And I think as a Freestyle Libre ambassador, that it's a really good platform to help, you know, share that knowledge. And it would be phenomenal if we can get it through and get it funded, because like you say, it's life-changing. Like,
definitely,
I feel like a different person since 2016. I feel like it's like the old Mairead and the new Mairead, and like, yeah, it's definitely a looking forward journey. And I just think this day and age, people are missing out by it not being supplied on the long-term illness scheme. And I know we've come a long way. Like, I'm so grateful for the advances in technology. And for me, paying for the Freestyle Libre sensors, I justified it in it's improving my quality of life. For me, I can't go back to the unknown, what's happening in between those finger prick to see what my glucose levels are. So for me, that was my justification, that, you know, if I went out for a meal, but I know they are expensive, so it would be amazing just to have it come in that it's not age based, because
Exactly.
for our adults as well, you know, we have busy lives. You know, you have work, if you have children, you know, it's hectic. So it's one less thing. And I think because diabetes is an invisible condition, people don't realize the amount of thought. Like when we look at food, we're thinking carbs, you know, and like we can enjoy the food that anyone else can, but we're instantly, I know if I go out to eat, I'm thinking, I wonder, are there hidden sugars in this? It doesn't stop me having the things I like, but there's that extra thought process. And even me recording the diabetic thoughts in a day, it really highlights it. So it's just one thing, and like one major thing that could make such a difference in people's day-to-day lives, and not just the present, it impacts on the future as well. Like when you have that knowledge, your HbA1c can improve, you know, long-term benefits as well as the present. So it's definitely something that will be groundbreaking if
Yeah.
it can.
And it shouldn't be something that only people who can afford to purchase it can have. Yeah. There should be a means for for anybody who wants to have it, to have access to it. And then I do want to point out that there are 2 other devices available in Ireland that are similar technologies, the continuous glucose meter or monitor, and they are available on the LTI without an age restriction. And there are just as many people using that technology now in Ireland because of the marketing campaign from the Freestyle Libre. Because so the HSE would actually save money by offering or including the Libre as a choice for the over 21s, because so many people find it to be a game-changing technology and would never go back, ever.
No, I couldn't. No.
Me neither. As you can see, because I'm wearing mine as well on my arm there. So Mairead, I think that was an excellent way to wrap up the interview, and I just want to say thank you so much for giving me so much of your time, and thank you so much for our chat before the interview, to get to know you a bit better for the recording, and best of luck in September.
Thank you so much, Grania. I really enjoyed it. And as I said, you know, if anyone ever needs to ask a question, you know, feel free, send me a message. I don't know everything. I never pretend I do, but I'm always happy to, you know, point someone in the right direction or to give my experience of it. So I think it's really, really important that we talk about things and, you know, share our experiences. So thank you for asking me to do this, Grania. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome.